What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your host, the Oak Cliff Savage. So in this video, we're gonna do a quick draft review for the Dallas Cowboys. Quickly want to review the draft selections that they made, give them an overall grade for their draft, and then also I want to briefly talk about their most recent free agent signing, running back Ezekiel Elliott, and how that actually all ties into their NFL draft and the overall effectiveness of this team moving forward. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they are notorious for always wanting to sort of throw curveballs. They kind of want to be seen as really, the smartest in the room. Sometimes they don't make the decisions that are the obvious good choices. And so as a fan, it can really be frustrating sometimes just when they sort of zig when they're supposed to zag, if that makes sense. So as we look here, we see that, the draft for the most part went as expected. A few surprises in the first round. Byron Murphy went 16 to the Seahawks. I like that selection. Young homegrown talent right here from the DF Dub. Shout out to him. And then, so as we sort of moved along here, you notice Dallas Cowboys initially had the 24th selection. But they traded out of that spot. They traded with the Detroit Lions. The Lions moved up to select Terrion Arnold, a cornerback from Alabama, pretty good player. Is obviously somebody who the Lions had their eye on. And I had said that the Dallas Cowboys should look into trading back, try to maybe acquire an extra draft pick. And that's exactly what they did, which was good. That particular move on day one or night one of the NFL draft, I gave them an A+. I gave them, high flying marks for that. Being able to trade back, knowing that the offensive line class was pretty deep this year, I thought was a smart move. I know a lot of people disagreed at the position where they traded from. You still had players like Graham Barton, Jordan Morgan on the board, and a lot of Cowboy Nation, I know, were really stomping for Graham Barton. An inside lineman who could probably play center for you. But, the Cowboys, like I said, they sort of zig when you expect them to zag. Me personally, I kind of expected that zag on that one. I thought that's what they should have done. And we were able to move 5 spots back to 29, select Tyler Guyton, who, if you watch my videos, which I really hope you guys do, I drop a lot of gems. One of my mock drafts that I completed, Tyler Guyton was the selection, but he was the selection I chose where I didn't trade back. I actually stayed at pick number 24 and selected Tyler Guyton. That was because I saw the raw potential, the raw athleticism. As you can see here, 6'8", 322 pounds. I thought he would fit our team and our mentality perfectly. So he was a person who I had really high marks on. I feel like could step in right away and be a day one starter. So I had no problems with this move. It was really perfect from all sides of the round. But then we get into, the sort of zagging when you don't even really need to zag on that play. Like, what ended up happening was, so in the second round, I'm sitting here paying attention and I see that, Cowboys have, some pretty good options still left here on the board here as we move into the second. I started to notice some of the guys who I had earmarked: Avondre Sweat, Jackson Powers Johnson, Edrin Cooper, Tyler Nubin, if you saw one of my other videos, was a guy I had marked in the second. All those guys started to come off the board pretty quickly. As the board continued to go, we saw here the Cowboys were at pick number 56, the 24th selection in the second round, and they went, again, zagging when you probably should have zigged on this one. Marshawn Nealon, defensive end out of Western Michigan. Now, uh, not to denigrate or disrespect this young man. I'm sure he's a fine player, but I had no idea who Marshawn Nealon even was coming out of Western Michigan. The fact of the matter is he's not someone who really raises eyebrows like that. I mean, he has size, he has some athleticism and ability, but the fact is, like, Western Michigan, I mean, I'm sorry, but they don't even really play like the best of competition. And so it got me thinking, like, Western Michigan, like, who were some of the notable players to come from Western Michigan? And so I see here, I mean, the most notable one is probably Greg Jennings. He was a receiver selected in the second round. You know, that's pretty good. And Jason Babin is a name I remember. He was a defensive end / linebacker out of Western Michigan. Now, he was taken in the first round by the Texans, but the difference is, as you can see here, he actually was setting records during his time at Western Michigan. You know, he set MAC records. On the flip side, you know, Marshawn Nealon was like, what, third team All-MAC, I believe? So, you know, just to kind of give you an idea or how you can really gauge, like, what level of player we're getting here, you know, sort of look at some of these other, you know, alums from Western Michigan. I mean, again, I'm not trying to denigrate their school or their program. I'm sure it's a fine program. But, you know, not a whole lot of notable names on this list. So, you know, I would just say, you know, we're getting probably a slightly above average player when honestly we could have gotten, you know, at this point I'm looking, there have been 0 running backs selected. At this point, Trey Benson is still available. I would have most definitely went with Trey Benson here. So this move here really knocked their draft grade down from like an A+ on night 1, trading back, getting the offensive lineman, to like now I'm at a C-, bro. Like you guys, you know, you zagged when you probably should have just zigged on that play. Just go get the running back. Because here's the thing, Marshawn Nealon is probably gonna be a rotational defensive end at best. You know, he's not going to start over DeMarcus Lawrence. He's not going to start over Sam Williams or Micah Parsons at this point. So you get a backup defensive end when you could have had a starting running back, possibly a generational running back, somebody the caliber of a Trey Benson who, you know, has very Ezekiel Elliott type qualities. Like, it just makes 0 sense right there. So I definitely had to go over that. And yeah, you know, just at this point, it just, you know, really wasn't the greatest decision. So I'll be back with part 2. Check me out. Thank y'all for supporting the show. Likes, comment, subscribe. We out.